Good Saturday morning to you, and welcome to On the Mark. Alongside Mark Papa, I'm Gary Byron. Mark is president and CEO of Financial Resources Group out of Glastonbury, Connecticut. You can find him online at www.frplan.com. F as in Frank, frplan.com. I would say, more importantly, write this phone number down because I want you to call it for a couple of reasons. Number one, this guy's on the top of his game. There's no one that's going to give you the information and help you better than Mark. The other thing is, and I'm going to let him explain this because he does a lot better job than I do. He's got a $2,500 value of this very thorough, comprehensive 21-point checklist. I'm going to let him do the duty. Here's the phone number, though, that I will give you. 860-657-8380. Again, 860-657-8380. And if you missed any of those points of contact, I promise you, I'll repeat it at least two more times before the show is over. Mark, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gary.
How's your week?
Good. It's good to be back. Things are moving along, and
Feels like you were just here.
yeah, and exactly. And I know, I was thinking about expanding on a couple. Some of the things, this show today is going to be about estate planning, Gary. So we went from, super exciting stuff to boring, morbid, and depressing topics, like death and, things like that. So, but we want to talk about estate planning, and I want to also talk about that $2,500 value.
Please.
Again, finding benefits that you're owed you're not aware of significantly exceed that value. In most cases, but I want to also talk about in that process, we talk about a survivor's guide. So if you pass away, your family will know exactly who to call, what to do, where to look for all your stuff.
Right.
We do talk about wills. We talk about trust and the importance of a will. And then, we make sure that you understand why you need to get that will and why it needs to be done right away. Not tomorrow, not next week, not kicking the can down the road. Not, I started with a lawyer, but I never called back to finish. Let's just get it done. So today, Gary, we're going to talk about estate planning because we have a new division. It's actually, we've had it for a while now, but actually what I'm going to do is offering estate planning to existing clients at no cost or obligation. They're going to have access to a legal platform that makes the legal forms that you can just go in and follow the prompts and fill out, similar to a LegalZoom, but I think it's better, in my opinion. No, nothing against LegalZoom, but you don't have to pay for it. And if you're a client of ours, your next generation, your kids and grandkids for that matter, will be able to come in, meet with us, and we'll actually help them get their will and financial document, their will, their power of attorney, and durable power of attorney, your healthcare proxies done at no cost or obligation. Now, that most of that's going to be covered by Grandpa's fee, but it's a way to get to know the next generation. But I just talked to a client yesterday out in Arizona. His daughter just got married. They have a kid. A baby, just had a baby. They don't have any estate planning documents.
Oh.
So think about this, Gary. I'm not saying that you're going to die tomorrow, and I hate to convince people of that, but anything can go wrong. And what happens if you die without a will? Your money's going to go, they're going to die intestate, and you're going to have a big fight with the state and whatever. So we want to help people understand the value of estate planning. So I'll let you ask the questions.
Well, can you do your disclaimer now so that
Yes.
we're not pressured at the end of the show?
Yes, and I'm also going to add another. First thing first, I am not a lawyer. Number two, we're not allowed to give legal advice. Okay? So the service that we work with has legal documents for you to go on self-directed and fill in. So I'm going to make that very clear. I'm not here to also compete with other estate planning lawyers that I use often and refer for more complicated cases. So, this is for basic vanilla stuff. This is just to get your feet wet. And if you need some additional help, we have lawyers on staff that you will refer you to. We're certainly not here I'm not here to be an estate planning lawyer without a law license. So anyway, we're here to get people started, and that is, it is a value-added service from the firm. So the opinions expressed during this program are those of Mark Papa personally and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Financial Resources Group, LLC. All investments involve risk, including the possibility of loss of principal. Nothing discussed in this program constitutes an offer to buy or sell any security or investment product. Past performance performance is not indicative of future results. Financial Resources Group LLC is a state-registered investment advisor in the state of Connecticut. Always consult a qualified professional before making investment decisions.
Okay. You say estate planning. So when we say estate planning, let me start here. What exactly are we talking about? Because a lot of people hear that and they think, oh, well, that's for rich people with mansions, right? But that's not true.
I think people misconstrue that when it comes around to trusts, like revocable trusts and living trusts and things of that nature. But if you look at the big picture, Gary, one of the other reasons I thought about doing this for our next generation clients is, we want to build relationships with the next generation. That's important. Getting to know them, especially if their parents lose capacity. We can let them know that we have their power of attorney on file. If, God forbid, something goes wrong, we know how to get that power of attorney triggered so that they can go help their parents pay their bills, do their taxes, manage their Medicare, whatever the case may be with the HIPAA form. So we're very, very good at that. A lot of times what happens is if we're not talking to the next generation and then the parents become incapacitated, they may not remember where they left our checklist review.
Right.
They may not remember that. And then their children will start to see them fail or will trigger their children and say, hey, you know what, your dad is starting to fail mentally. Let's have a conversation, and we bring them in and sit down. We don't want to wait to that point, Gary. We want to be ahead of the game.
So what are the core documents that we're talking about here?
Well, I would say that the main thing, Gary, at the very least, it would definitely be the will. It would definitely be the durable power of attorney, and it definitely would be the healthcare proxy. So the will obviously is, when you pass away, the will dictate who is going to, be the executor. There may be someone who be named to take custodian if you have younger children. So those are the kind of things that we want to talk about. The power of attorney, the durable power of attorney is for someone to help you when you're not able to take care of yourself, you're incapacitated, and someone to manage your financial affairs. The healthcare proxy is then helping you manage your medical expenses.
Okay. So
your medical.
And what you're saying, most people don't have any of this in place?
Well, the statistics are kind of staggering, Gary. I would say over 60% of Americans don't even have a basic will. Oh. And I'd argue that even more don't even have one that's up to date.
What age should you start that, by the way?
I'd say the minute you get married and you have kids or you buy a home.
Okay.
That's when you should do it. Even when you get married, Gary. Let's say your wife had let's say you're married and your wife had a student loan, right? Mm-hmm. You're married now. That's her debt. Right? That's your debt now.
That's both. I was going to say that's both our debt.
That potentially would become your debt. Or let's say the parents co-signed that debt. What we would say is, let's get your daughter some term insurance. So God forbid she expires, early. That money could be used to pay off her student loans. Or what happens if one of the other issues is a lot of parents in Connecticut, because of the price of homes, they're gifting money to their kids to buy their first home, and now all of a sudden your child passes away. They can't pay you back.
No, I get it.
It reduces your, how are they going to pay you back if they're not here anymore?
You got to admit, most people, if someone's 32, they're not exactly sitting there thinking, well, I got to get this will done. No, they're saying to themselves, I'm 32 and I don't need to worry about this stuff yet.
Yeah,
right?
They're saying that exactly. However, I still think, that's the mindset exactly that worries me, is a 30 to 35-year-old often has more at stake than they realize. They have a mortgage sometimes, right? Sometimes they've gotten help from the parents for the down payment, as I mentioned. They may have young children who need a designated guardian. They may have a 401k from their first job that still lists mom and dad as beneficiary. Gary, this is the entire script that we use when we speak with folks about the woman who ended up working at this big corporate job. She ended up getting married, having a couple kids, only that her mom and dad had passed away. And then she had forgotten that the person that she left on the beneficiary form was her brother.
Oh, geez.
He was the only one left, and she forgot to update that form.
Oh, no.
Now, they went to the best attorney in town, Gary, got their will done, their trust done. But guess what happened to that money when she passed away unexpectedly?
It went to probate, I would imagine, no?
Unfortunately, because the beneficiary designation on the 401k still named her brother as the successor of the contingent beneficiary, all the money went to the brother. Now, here's the problem, Gary. The brother had been in and out of, skirmishes with the law. He had a gambling problem. He drank. How generous do you think he was going to be to her brother and the two kids? No. Huh? Right?
Not at all.
And here's a really educated, smart woman. She was a corporate executive.
Sure.
Let's think about that for a minute. So guess who lost out on that? They went to the best attorney in town. They went to the judge, and guess what the judge said? She said, hey, we have a will, but the will didn't matter. Guess what form trumped the will? It's the beneficiary form. Okay? So that's also another opportunity for us to help people as well.
The guardianship piece really hits home for parents of young children in particular.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most important things in many cases. I mean, if both parents are in a tragic accident, I was just reading how many people got pulled over the last couple weekends ago.
Oh, the Memorial.
There were over 300 accidents on the Connecticut roads. 300 accidents, Gary. So who's to say that you have a guarantee that's not going to be you? I mean, I drive slow now, especially since I had my son. But and you know what? If I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late. I'm not going 85 to be on time. Sorry. That's it.
No,
so
I
my
get
point.
it.
But here's the thing: the judge. So if you don't designate a guardian for your children, the judge decides who raises those kids. That may not. That's not a maybe. That's the law. And no parent wants a stranger in a courtroom making that call. So a will fixes that, and that's one of the probably one of the simplest documents to create.
All right, let's talk about the power of attorney, because I think a lot of people don't even fully understand what that even means or why it matters.
Yeah, and Gary, this is, again, as part of our full checklist. Imagine, it's a $2,500 value, but obviously worth more. Imagine
Which you'll get free, by the way.
Going into your bank branch and the bank looking at you and you say, I need to get some money out to put my mom in nursing to pay a nurse. Or I need to get some money out because my mom's medical bills are piling up and she can't handle this stuff on her own. And they get a copy of your power of attorney and it isn't notarized correctly, or it's over a year old, or they don't like the language in that power of attorney. Guess what happens to that money? Can you get it out? I mean, is the bank going to stop you from depositing the money? But trying to get it out is very, very difficult. I've literally witnessed people fighting with branch managers, and I was hoping to take them aside and say, hey, you need a guy like me. So what we do is we want to make sure people have a proper, durable power of attorney in place. And what we do for all our clients is we'll update that once a year. To make sure it's always fresh. We update it and notify it. But the durable power of attorney, it's not helping you mow the lawn or take out the garbage. It's simple things like handling your bills, taking care of your health insurance reimbursements, just making sure all the, all your finances are in order, and acting on your behalf as if it was you. That is something that we also review existing powers of attorney for potential flaws, Gary. We have a power of attorney review checklist that finds little known flaws in some of these powers of attorney that, for people that, here's the bottom line. We find flaws all the time, and what we can do is help them get those things fixed.
I mean, that's a critical point. As I'm listening to you, I mean, that even if you have a document, that it might not even be good enough.
Right, and an outdated power of attorney can be rejected exactly at the moment you need it most. Who wants to deal with that time, cost, hassle, and stress? Not to mention you're already taking time off to work to help your elderly parent or your elderly family member. You're already doing those things, and imagine having to go to the bank and that form just no longer works anymore.
All right, let's talk about the healthcare side of estate planning, because the healthcare proxy and what did you call it? You called a quality directive. What does that mean? Tell me more about this.
All right. So, Gary, what we do is you have your healthcare proxy. So like the power of attorney, Gary, the healthcare proxy will help someone, make medical decisions on your behalf when you can't do it anymore. Okay. And so what we also do, in addition to that, because let me just talk about the healthcare proxy. So a healthcare proxy designates who can make medical decisions for you, and when you can't make them on your own. But beyond that, just naming somebody, just naming somebody, we also add in a quality of life directive. And this is a companion document that details your actual wishes. Like, for example, do you want to be kept alive on life support? Now, a lot of times there's a living will or that will allow people to say, okay, take me off of life support. but then there's other decisions, take me off of life support, things of that nature. But there might be other areas that doesn't cover. Right. So we're talking about the gray areas. Like, let's say you had a 50-50 chance of surviving an operation that could save your life and make you good as new. Or the other 50% chance, Gary, is you don't make it off the operating table. I mean, is that an easy decision or hard decision to make for anybody?
That's always a tough decision.
That's a tough one. So imagine if you had to make that for somebody else, Gary. And what happens if you're wrong and they die? What's that going to do to your conscience for the rest of your life?
It'll be a weight that for the rest of my life that I'll never get rid of.
Right. And is that something that you want someone who's nice enough to become your power of attorney to have to go through? I mean, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So I know we've talked about this in the past, but these are things that really, really make a lot of sense for people. Also, so what are your values around end-of-life care? The document also speaks from you when you can't, but it directly correlates to the legal documents, so there's no ambiguity for the person trying to honor your wishes in an incredibly difficult time.
All right, so here's the practical question then. If you have this document, it's sitting in a drawer somewhere, right?
Yeah.
What good is it if no one can find it in an emergency?
Well, you've put your finger on something absolutely huge, and that's why we help clients store their healthcare proxy in a digital vault. It's secure, it's accessible, it's an online repository that's encrypted, and unauthorized family members and healthcare providers can access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from anywhere. So think about it. You're rushed to the hospital at 2 a.m. in another state. Let's say you're traveling, and the doctors need to know your wishes. Is that document accessible? Well, are you going to have somebody wake up and run down to your basement and go into your safe and pull out the documents and find a fax machine and email it to the hospital when someone needs critical care right away? Or would it be better to have that digital vault? Right? And that's why we use the digital vault. It's a little card we put in your wallet. And it's one of those things that seems like a small logical detail, but can make an enormous difference when every minute counts.
That is a genuinely modern solution to a very real problem. And I love that. Folks, you're listening to On the Mark along with Mark Papa. I'm Gary Byron. Mark is the president and CEO of Financial Resources Group out of Glastonbury. You can find him online at frplan.com. And this is the number that you should be calling for that $2,500 extremely thorough, comprehensive checklist. A checklist like the one, it's going to surpass a $2,500 value, as he already explained. It's 860-657-8380. I'll repeat all of that more towards the end of the show. All right, Mark, let's get into some of the financial planning side of estate planning. I'm talking about trusts, avoiding probate. You mentioned revocable trusts earlier. Why should someone even consider a trust over, let's say, a will?
Well, that's a good question, Gary. We just, on our website, you can go on the website and it'll ask you a series of questions. So you go to or you just go to frplan.com, you click on estate planning, and it'll say, do I need a will or trust? You click the button, you answer a few simple questions. And
what if they don't know? Well, they can't discern which one from the other.
What'll happen is that the software will ask them a series of questions. And based on how you answer, it might just say you only need a will.
Okay.
In other cases, it might say, well, you might need a trust. So the two litmus test questions we typically ask is, do you have a child with special needs? Mm-hmm. Okay. The next question we'll also ask is, do you own out-of-state property? Okay, so sometimes people have property out of state. So those are the two basic triggers for the revocable trust, but also, if someone has a special needs child, they're going to need more advanced planning than that. So we typically ask those questions. But, here's the big picture. A will goes through probate, so all your assets become public. And I know you've heard this on this radio show before. You've had attorneys multiple times. And that's the court process of validating the will and distributing the assets. It's public, it can be slow, and it can be expensive, depending on the size of your estate. Even if you forget to name beneficiaries on all your accounts, and a small asset goes through probate, they're going to have to open it up, and it's going to be a very hefty fee to get that asset processed, and sometimes it's not even worth it. So, a revocable living trust, on the other hand, allows your assets to transfer directly to your beneficiaries outside of probate. That means faster, more private, and typically far less cost to distribute your estate. So for many families, avoiding probate alone is worth the cost of setting up a trust. And I'd say most people I talk with would rather have that in there.
Yeah.
And then what was interesting is I was over the weekend when I was in a couple weekends ago, actually, I spoke to a guy who was really, really unhappy with his son-in-law. And I won't say why, because I would hate to have this guy listen to the radio station and find out. But I told him, he says, oh, I have 3 daughters, and if my other daughter dies, I'm just going to give all the money to my other daughters. And I said, well, what happens to the grandkids? And what happens in that case?
Yeah, why penalize them?
And yeah, I said, that's not fair. And he was, he wasn't thinking about it. I said, call your lawyer. And I said, talk to him about adding a divorce protection clause into your estate, or so this way, or
That's a great idea. Most people won't even think of that.
Not even if she dies, but let's say he dies and she inherits as a big money, and he doesn't trust this guy,
and then they get divorced.
He's entitled to half that money.
That's right.
All right, because now it becomes so. That's another thing for a divorce lawyer. But I'm just saying these are the little questions I was popping to him over kind of a couple glasses of wine. I just met this guy out of the blue, and he was like, "Wow, I can't wait to call my lawyer when I get back."
Good for you,
because he didn't like his son-in-law.
Well, see, this is why you need to be talking to Mark. You mentioned, a little while ago, you mentioned something called, did you say like a stepped up basis? And I know people who are investors that listen to this show, they're going to want to hear about that.
Yeah, this is, by the way, remember I did that show on some of the crazy tax proposals that were coming out?
Oh, yeah. It was a good one.
This is the one they wanted to get rid of. So let's just explain this. So this is one of the most powerful and underappreciated features of estate planning, Gary. When assets held inside a revocable trust are inherited, the beneficiaries receive that what's called a stepped-up cost basis. Now, let's say you bought a stock years ago for $10,000. Okay, you with me so far? So you bought it at $10,000. Mm-hmm. Now it's worth $100,000.
Nice.
Now, if you sold it during your lifetime, or gifted it for that matter, your kids would assume that $10,000 basis, or you would have to pay
like a
principal
capital
gains on $90,000 of that growth.
Yeah.
This is why gifting stock or gifting assets can be detrimental, because the cost basis reverts back to the original owners, the gift person doing the gifts basis. So you want to be very careful before you make those decisions. But if the stock passes to your heirs through a properly structured trust, their cost basis is stepped up, and they're at the current fair market value at the time of inheritance, at the time of death, actually, of that person. So that $90,000 in gains can essentially disappear from a tax standpoint. And for families with appreciated assets like real estate investments, business interests, this is an enormous planning opportunity. And a lot of people, sadly, Gary, in order to pay that tax, if it weren't there, would have to either sell the business or leverage it or do something drastic, which could be detrimental to everybody. So that's why a simple plan is the way to go.
I'm listening to you, Mark. This is remarkable. And you're saying this is available to everyday families, not just the uber wealthy here.
No, the law applies to the ultra wealthy, and it applies to you equally. Same thing. You don't have to be ultra wealthy, but if you have assets that are appreciated, and I'd say with the way the markets are going, is everybody, pretty much, a lot of people have them.
Well,
let's be smart about this.
I want to get we're running out of time, but for people listening right now who are in more of a complex situation, let's talk blended families. I loved your story a moment ago. Business owners, though, you mentioned special needs children at the top of the show. Mm-hmm. Are there estate planning solutions for them as well?
Yes, and that's where you use a real attorney for that. Use a live attorney. Not to say the company that we work with, I thought they had some really impressive lawyers in some of their webcasts. Really, really impressive, like estate litigators on staff. They were really good. Yeah. However, I wouldn't recommend you doing that on your own. If you have those issues, I would say, okay, I have 3 attorneys. Give each one a call. Let's interview them. Let's find out who's the best fit is going to be for you. And then some lawyers will just tell you, you know what, this one, there's another lawyer better than me at this. I'm really not good at this. I really don't target this area, but you can call so-and-so who specializes in this. So we will help you find that as well at no cost or obligation. It usually doesn't take us very long.
All right, let's bring this home here. Maybe someone's listening right now. Maybe they've been putting this off. Maybe they don't even know where to even start. They're asking themselves, well, what's my first step? What do you tell them? What do you want people to take away from this show right now? And why should they call you?
Okay, so we would, first off, why don't we just sit down and figure out what your needs are going to be? And if it means that, again, we're going to be offering this to our existing clients, so it's all going to be an in-house thing. For people from outside, let's sit down and figure out your estate, what your needs are going to be. Let's gather your assets. Let's take a look and see where there might be some issues. Let's check your beneficiaries. Let's check your durable power of attorney. This is all the full checklist, Gary. Check your durable power of attorney. Let's make sure beneficiaries are done correctly. Let's make sure grandkids are not disinherited unnecessarily or by accident, because that can happen. Just like what happened with that poor woman and her brother, being named the beneficiary. Let's double check everything, bank accounts, brokerage accounts. Let's just scrub through that stuff. That's part of the 21-point checklist or the full checklist. But the platform we offer our services through is Estately by Free Will. It's Estately by Free Will. It's excellent for families with straightforward situations, but for more complex needs like special needs trusts or legacy trusts, or things like, there's also another thing, I won't even say it, it's just too complicated, irrevocable trust for Medicaid planning and things like that. That's where you really need to call a licensed estate planning attorney. So you need an estate planning attorney. You don't want to go to the guy that did the closing of your house. I mean, they have a law degree, but you need to go to somebody for these specifics. Unless that person has a dedicated estate planning practice, that's not where you want to go.
All right, just to be clear, though, this is available to current clients of Financial Resources Group, your business, and their family members, right? Including children, grandchildren, no charge.
Right, that's what we offer people. And if anyone wants to come in for an estate planning review, I would say that come on in, let's take a look at your situation, let's figure out what might work best for you. And then if you were so compelled, you could do the $2,500 value full checklist review, which is going to cover a huge percentage of what, and help you come to the conclusion, Gary, as to what your needs are really going to be. Do I need to update that power of attorney? Is my medical power of attorney filed electronically? Is my will even up to date? Is my executor even willing to still be my executor? Are my trustees still willing to handle all this stuff? Or are they still? Are they even in a life position to do it?
The freebie that kind of stuff you are offering, you say it's a $2,500 value. Quite frankly, I've been listening to you. I mean, I think it's worth more than $2,500. I don't know anybody who's offering this comprehensive, and you really dot your I's and cross your T's here, folks. To learn more about this and any other topics we discuss on here, head on over to Financial Resources Group website. You can find them at www.frplan.com. FR, Financial Resources, frplan.com. I would say right now, the show as we're winding down, call right now. Be one of the first 5 callers right now. $2,500 value, it's a win-win situation. 860-657-8380. Again, 860-657-8380. And you're in Glastonbury, Connecticut. I mean, it's a hop, skip, and a
we're
jump.
right off of Route 2. Very easy to find.
Very easy. For Mark Papa, I'm Gary Byron. Thank you so much for listening to On the Mark. Until next Saturday morning, have a good one, everybody. So long.